Joaquin Buckley, thank you for joining me.
Appreciate you for having me, man. Let's go.
All right, let's talk about this win, the Stephen Thompson win. How would you ultimately grade your performance?
I would grade it, let's say a B minus.
Okay,
I,
why
I
would tell me why?
I got you. For me, because this whole fight, going into it, I was just looking to pretty much go out there and dominate the whole time. Wonderboy definitely had, some success on the feet, where he was able to, catch me with a couple good punches, couple good kicks. And be honest with you, I thought that once I got him to the floor, once I got him to the mat, I'd be able to control him and pretty much dominate the fight from there. But his old ass got back up every single time, and he was able to stay in the fight. So I just feel like I didn't have a dominant performance like I should have. So
Happy with the finish though, yeah?
oh, of course, yeah, of course.
All right, so let's talk about the finish itself, and I want to talk about some of the wrestling too, but just let's start with the finish. So you got him, he was peeling out to his left, your right, as you were kind of these like short little lateral feints as you were changing stance, and then you exploded into him with the right hand. You tried the same thing at the end of the second, it just missed. Why did it land this time?
The reason why I landed because of the adjustment, right? Me moving my feet. When Wonderboy, well, when I first did it, right, just the initial movement, he had enough room to slide out, right? And I just believe just in that second sequence, I was throwing punches towards him, and it got him backed up against the cage, and it caused him to pause. A lot of people don't realize that when Wonderboy gets up against the cage, he kind of stops his movement to figure out whether he wants to slide right or slide left and defend. And what me and my coaches were doing when I was training was just trying to create roadblocks, to make him leak out to one certain direction. And I already knew that he wanted to slide out towards his left. But regardless of that, I feel like the punch had landed because he, literally crashed into the cage. And I didn't give him an opportunity to move. Once he crashed into the cage, I crashed into him. So I pretty much threw the whole force of the punch once he had paused his body. But when I threw it the first time, he was already in motion. He was already sliding out, if that makes sense.
I see. And did you realize, like, oh, at the end of the second round, like,
Yeah.
oof, I just about got him?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that why
yeah,
you
yeah.
were like,
That's why I walked him down. That's why I walked him down. Like, well, I
okay,
almost had your ass.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, because you came out in the third round like blitzing hard into him that whole time. It
Mhm.
must have been like you were just trying to get him to move away back up into behind the black line. Yeah.
Yeah. We call that the finish line. To make him cross that line. But be honest with you, I was just aggressive because I just realized Wonderboy didn't have anything for me, especially not in the third round when it came to his power. Because a lot of the shots that I did take, I wasn't wobbled, I wasn't hurt. So I felt like that, I could be a little bit more aggressive without, me having any threat come back at me.
I couldn't quite tell the head kicks he was throwing. Some of them did make contact with you. No,
Barely,
okay. So it
barely.
looked like it made contact. Did it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with the head kicks, he definitely landed with on my forearms and definitely threw some powerful kicks. I really feel like I should have never stayed in that pocket for him to throw the full force of that kick, and I should have stepped forward or I should have backed all the way out. But either way though, it didn't land to the point where it caught me or got me hurt and got me wobbled. Because I feel like at the end of the day, you know, as long as you got your hands up against Wonder Boy, you're gonna be okay. There's a lot of guys that I wouldn't have to say won the fight, but they survived due to them just having their hands up because Wonder Boy is so slick in the combos that he do. It's kind of hard to see what he's going to throw. Right, whether that's a side kick, whether that's a hook kick over the top, or whether that's just a rear kick or a blitz. So I really feel like a lot of guys survive just having their hands up and not actually having like a cognitive idea of what he's finna do. If that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yes, it does
Like
make sense.
guys just keep their hands up and they're able to survive. So
Do you do tape study, or do you do tape study with your coach? Does your coach do tape study? How does that work?
we all do tape study for sure. But my thing is, I watch for myself. I don't rely on my coaches just to do all the homework. I'm the one that's out there fighting. But we all do it, and then once we all do our homework, we all come together to see what we seen. So even though I might see something or Edric might see something, we looking at the same thing, but we might see something different. That makes sense.
Hmm.
So whatever he sees, he tells me, and then I let him know, vice versa. So it's a collective group. Yeah.
So one question I like to ask for in fighters, whether they win or they lose, obviously this is a winning scenario. In terms of what you guys had planned and in terms of how it went, what went well? And also in terms of what you guys had planned and it just didn't work, what failed? So like from planning to execution, what went
Yeah.
well, what didn't?
Well, when it comes to just the planning overall, I think we A plus. I think we shut Wonderboy down to a certain narrative that you can strike with him. You can stand up with Wonderboy. But I just felt like there's a lot of situations where you just have to mix it up. But you got to keep constant pressure on Wonderboy. You can't have that in between space, and you cannot be friendly with him throughout the fight. I really feel like everything that we executed. We had a theme for this fight. I have a theme for all my fights. Funny enough. So anytime that we called out any action, it would be, like drive. Drive is going forward, on my opponent. If Wonder Boy was up against the cage and he ends up parked, that's what we call it. And park means him standing still. We would crash forward, right? So all these things that we created for the fight, we executed it. Every time they called out something and I heard it, I was able to execute in the fight. The only thing for me, and I'm talking about personally, my performance was a B minus, is because when I took him down, he was able to get back up immediately, and that's why I grade myself so heavily. But other than that, we executed the game plan perfectly because we was planning on knocking out Wonderboy. He was gonna die in a car accident. That was the thing. So
That's a
yeah,
morbid way to put it, but a very effective one just the same.
hey, yeah.
In particular on his takedown defense, what specifically about it surprised you?
His style. You said his style. What
No,
what
no, his
surprised
takedown defense. His takedown
and take
defense.
yeah, no, him just bouncing back up to his feet. I thought I'd be able to have more control of just settling him and be able to control him. He was able to scoot back towards the cage, get to a knee, get to a base, and just hold his ground up against the cage. So that's what one thing I was a little upset about. So once I got his butt to the canvas, I felt like I should have kept him there. Yeah.
So, did you go back and watch the fight with commentary?
Did I watch it with commentary?
Like
Yeah,
did you
yeah,
go back and
yeah,
yeah, watch after? Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
one thing that Cormier noted was that in the
The-
fight you weren't okay, so this is so it's not it was somewhat true, it was somewhat untrue. One thing Cormier noted in the fight was that he's like you weren't wrapping the legs, but actually when I went back and I watched, you did wrap his legs the first time you took him down.
yeah.
It was just kind of after that you stopped shelving or turking or whatever. Wouldn't that explain why he was able to get up? Like I'm trying to understand like what was when you put him down.
No, no, you said right. I should have used my legs more.
I see.
I did use the Habib approach, trying to wrap up the legs. But I should have stayed on it. As soon as I took him down, I think I was just trying to get to a hip, and control. But he would scoot his butt back to the cage and just get back to his feet. So I should have used my legs more to control. Yeah.
When you finished him off, you hit him with a big shot. He goes down. I think
Oh
you hit
yeah.
him with one more after that. And then you had your hands up, and I saw you mouth to a couple different people, my bad, or I think I'm sorry. What
Yeah.
was that?
I mean, everybody was upset. They were sad. I could see it in their eyes. So I was like, my bad. They didn't want to see Wonder Boy get knocked out. Everybody loves Wonder Boy as nice as he is. And what I did to him, yeah, yeah, it was a bad situation. So I just had to tell people my bad. I didn't want to do that, but we had to do that.
Okay. Okay, but was it like his corner you were talking to, or just
No,
like
no, no.
random
Talking to the
people, whoever
crowd.
was
Just
there?
talk, yeah, whoever was there. Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about a lot of disappointed faces I saw. Yeah, a lot of disappointed faces. So I just told him my bad for doing that to Wonder Boy.
The Kamaru Usman call out. He has since kind of responded, not really, sort
Yeah,
of.
nah, not at all. I really don't expect him to really kind of push for that fight. I don't really see him trying to push for this fight, just because how difficult the fight might be for him. Um, for me, I'm still working on things. That's true, but I really feel like when it comes to the stand up, I don't think Usman really has anything for me. And I think my cardio, my pace is definitely going to challenge him. And usually he's the one that is the one that's pushing that narrative, like of his conditioning. But I think I can push my conditioning past Usman at this point in my career.
Has the UFC said anything to you about any of this? Like what they
No,
want?
nah, they haven't. They haven't. They won't say anything until they ready to make a go on whatever call they're trying to do.
Did they indicate When that
Nothing.
might be? No?
Nothing. I had nothing from the UFC right now. So right now it's just about being patient, capitalizing on the moment. I got my Solid Foundation merch coming out. I got the Utah 307 for sale on my Solid Foundation store. So right now we're just sitting back, promoting, and just enjoying the time, enjoying the
What
wins.
Tell me more about the Solid Foundation.
Okay.
What is that?
So the Solid Foundation is something I created with my brother Edric Dillard, who was in my corner for the fight. He's somebody that I trained with, early in my uh, amateur career to my pro career, and he's the person that has helped me get into the UFC because when I was at Finney's MMA, at the time I had departed from them. I was on my own. I still needed people to train with. He was one of the people that I was training with full time, along with this guy Ryan Sutton, who passed away unfortunately, and then another kid named Murad Bektoriev, and then another conditioning coach named Travis Brown. So literally, the only three guys I was training with the whole time were these three individuals. But with that being said, I still needed somebody to be in my corner. Edric Dillard was in my corner every single time for LFA, and then I ended up getting signed into the UFC. He wasn't, unfortunately, he wasn't able to come with me to the UFC to corner me because he still had to go to work. But my guy Ryan Sutton, who passed away, unfortunately, he was out there. But because of COVID in that situation, he had ended up catching COVID, and he wasn't able to stay in my corner. So I had a whole situation where I had to, get a random guy named Kai to corner me. But at the end of the day, and the end of the story, these three guys and these three individuals helped me get into the UFC before I even had a team. You know.
And so this is a nonprofit. I guess I'm unclear, but what the organization is.
No, you good. It's the LLC. It's just our merch, man. It's our
Oh, okay.
merch.
I
But
see. I
this is
see.
this is the team, though, right? And yet again, the Solid Foundation is built off the name because these are the guys that helped me build up the brand where I'm at right now. And without that Solid Foundation that I had before, I wouldn't even been in the UFC. Period. You know.
Got it. Got
Yep.
it. Okay. Very good. And folks want to buy that. Where do they go?
So they go to the solidfoundationstore.com.
All right.
Yep. Yep.
Good. I hope you sell a couple more from this.
I appreciate it.
Let's get back to that call out. So in your last fight before this one against Ruzaboyev, however you pronounce his last name, you had the whole Conor McGregor call out, and it was met with mixed reviews. But then you got on Twitter and you were battling people for like days and whatnot. And this time it was totally different. You had a fantastic win, and then you had a pretty good call out. I mean, obviously Usman didn't bite, but still it was well done. I'm
Yeah.
wondering, did you purposely have a very different approach this time based on how the last one went?
What do you mean by the approach? What do you mean by approach?
It seemed a little bit more adversarial last time. Like in your face, like as loud as possible, as crazy as possible. And this
Nah,
time it
this
seemed
this this
much more
last one,
targeted.
this last one could have been just as crazy, but only had a minute. They only gave me 60 seconds. So at least I got a warning from Joe to make that shit quick and get my message out. So I appreciate Joe Rogan for that one. But nah, I feel like, at the end of the day, people are always looking for me to, be who I am, right? I always call out people, and I'm always gonna have a name to shout out at the end of the day because I'm a fighter and I'm always trying to look for the next fight to put me in a position where I can fight for a title one day. And I know for me, that's part of my brand. People always looking for that next call out. So I'm always gonna have a name ready at the end of the day.
Can we talk about your technical development? You obviously this last win was one of your better ones. I mean, obviously it doesn't stand up to the Impa Kasanganai one, which is arguably the greatest knockout I've ever seen in my life. But in terms of quality opponent, this was a really good one. You had two losses back to back. You had the Nassourdine Imavov and Chris Curtis loss. Both of these were in 2022. And since then, you've been on a tear. You stopped Andre Filio. You beat Alex Morno. You beat Vicente Luque, a very credentialed opponent. As you mentioned, the Ruzaboyev win. And now Stephen Thompson. Unbelievable run. What went wrong in those two fights? Yes, those are high-quality fighters. But when you look back on that and you think about how far you come, what was missing then?
Nothing was missing. Like for me, just like being realistic, it's just not the weight class for me. That's it. Like me moving down to 170, I think was just the best opportunity to really show what my potential is. Uh, I feel like the techniques that I've acquired or gained, I still had in the Chris Curtis fight, and I still had in the Nasser Dean fight. It's just moments where I did just, either just made a small mistake and I paid for it, and that's just the fight biz. And just with Nasser Dean, my man was just hella big. You know what I mean? It was hard to deal with that size and moving forward. And a lot of shots I was landing on, it seemed like it wasn't affecting them. So I feel like moving down to 170, where the weight class is more appropriate for me, is just like, it just really shows my potential at this weight class. So, I'm the same fighter I was at 185 and that I am at 170. It's just I'm fighting people that's, on the same level, what's the word I'm looking for? Playing on the same, fair, Lord Jesus, field. You know what I'm talking about, Lord Jesus.
Nevertheless, obviously it has gone really well for you. How much? What's your walking around weight outside of camp?
Outside of camp. So now, but that's the funniest thing. So when I was fighting at 185, I was always walking around 190. But
Jesus,
now
really? That's it?
yeah, at the time, yeah, at the time 190. We was trying to build up more and more weight because I needed to be bigger for 185, obviously, but just my body just wasn't going over 190, not at all. So once I changed down to 170, funny enough, my body started to actually get bigger. So now I'm walking around 200. So now I'm cutting down 30 pounds to get to 170.
Dude, I know lightweights who walk around 190. I know
Mm-hmm.
lightweights who walk around
Yeah,
190.
big facts, big facts. Ain't
Jesus
that crazy?
Christ, you were 190 at 185. No wonder you had to go down, because it
Yeah.
wasn't like can you give me a sense of how much stronger you are at 70 versus 85 in terms of what your opponents feel like?
For what they feel like from 185 to 170 is a major difference. I would say that. Like for me, when I used to try to take guys down, at 185, I have a very difficult time trying to take guys down. At 170, I feel like, bro, they lightweight. Like with Wonderboy, when I first took the first double leg, lifting them up with ease, no problem. I believe, before the Wonderboy fight, I had 100%, rate on my takedowns, on everybody. From Andre Fiallo, from Alex Morono, from Vicente, which he took himself down on that one, and then the Ruzaboya fight. So every person that I attempted to take down, I took down.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so if the Usman thing doesn't materialize, let's talk about the rest of the division. I would love to get your opinion on this. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Bilal Muhammad. Size it up for me. What do you think?
I think it's a good fight, and it's only going to be a good fight because the way that Bilal comes, right? Every time when he sets up himself to fight an opponent, he prepares himself in the right way. Shadkat, I believe that he's just the type of fighter that he believes his talent and his gifts is going to take him, as far, as it's been taking him now, where he's been finishing everybody, right? I don't believe that Shadkat, in my personal opinion, is doing any film study on Bilal, on how you going to beat him. Shadkat believes just in his head, him stepping in the cage with Bilal is going to be good enough, right? But I don't think it's going to be the other way around with Bilal. I believe Bilal is going to try to see what is going to be his best opportunities to take the fight where he needs to in order to get get the decision.
How has Rachmanov been able to finish every single person he's ever fought? Like, how does one, obviously you have to be very skilled and you have to have a certain mentality, right?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
it?
Yeah, to a certain degree, man. Fighting is kind of simple, bro. I believe he's a very durable guy too, right? He's tough. Matter of fact, no disrespect to him, but Vicente Luque, he's a Vicente Luque. He's the type of fighter that is willing to go to war and to take shots just to give you one, right? And he expects his one to hurt you a lot worse than the shots that you gave him. But that recipe only lasts for so long before the person that you run into, once they catch you with that one shot that you allowed them to get, unfortunately that's all she wrote. So I believe that Shadkat, he still has a lot of tools that he needs to sharpen up when it comes to his defense and be more responsible on keeping his hands up.
If Ian Gary ends up fighting Colby Covington, what does that look like?
I don't know. That's a good question, to be honest with you. I feel like Ian Gary does a smart way of surviving and moving his feet and staying long. But Kobe Covington, he just, for me, just the inactivity outside of the cage. So I don't know what type of training he's been doing, but that's the thing. I would have to go with the Ian Gary, right now, because he's been active.
Is Colby like? I mean, I don't want to be like super disrespectful about it, but is he washed? Like, where is he?
Is he watch? That's a question for him to ask, or answer to. But my thing is, the last fight that he had was against, if I'm
Leon.
not mistaken, Leon. Yeah, Leon Edwards. And that was about a year ago now. So time ain't on nobody's side. So if you really want to show the world what you up to and what you've been doing and how you've been working, you got to take a fight. So I'm happy to go find out myself too with Kobe Covington if he ain't got nothing lined up.
Oh, that's a fight you'd be okay
Oh
with that
yeah, I'd
fight.
be definitely willing to take that fight. Yeah, yeah, there it is. Yeah, so I would definitely entertain a fight with Kobe Covington. I really feel like yet again, that's somebody that has fought for the belt, has proven itself, highly ranked into the division for 170. So I feel like why not?
How about if a fight is made between Jack Della Maddalena and Sean Brady? How does that look to you?
That's a fun fight, between those two. It's whoever implements their game plan first is the biggest. You seen that JDM had issues on the ground with Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns was winning that whole fight, until he caught that knee to the chin. But as well, we didn't see Sean Brady get spunked around by, Bilal Muhammad. So I really feel like just the styles in between one another, it could be a fun fight, but it's about who has the time and who's willing to implement their game plan first is who wins that fight.
If we talk 1 year from now, who is the champion of your weight class?
Oh yeah, of course, me.
Okay, so I was going to ask your 2025 plan. So, because some fighters are like, hey, my plan is I want to do X this year, and then the year after I want to go blah blah blah. You believe that 2025 is going to be your year?
It gotta be. It gotta be. I ain't got no choice.
Why is that?
Just how I see it. My thing is I don't think it's worth being anywhere, no matter where you at, if you ain't trying to be the best. So I feel like at the end of the day, for me, if I'm be in the UFC, I want to be a world champion. So that's my goal.
Is the hope to get more than 2 fights next year?
Uh, I would expect so. I would expect so. I've been very active. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been very active.
Yes.
Even with me trying to fight one more time at the end of the year, trying to fight Usman in December. That'd be 4 fights in the calendar year. So I think 2 fights, yeah, it'd be easy work.
I only bring that up because it's just sometimes hard for good fighters to even get more than 2 fights in a calendar year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but that's what I won't say the UFC allows. It's what fighters do, right? Because they try to find the most strategic way to how to get to the title, and the most strategic way to do that is by fighting.
Last but not least, if the UFC came to you and said, "Hey, we're going to put on this title fight," okay, for example, for the Bilal Muhammad and Shavkat title fight, would you be the backup? Would you take that?
Yeah, of course. Why not? Get paid to just
You
step
still have
on
to
the
cut.
scale.
You still have to cut
Yeah, I
weight
know.
though.
Get paid to step on the scale. Hell yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay. It's funny. I talk to some fighters that are like, "Yeah, I'm not interested in doing that," but you have
Yeah,
no problem with it.
I don't know why you getting the opportunity to fight for the belt. So if somebody do fall out or somebody ends up sick or whatever, and you get that call, why not take it?
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Joaquin Buckley, what a win! Phenomenal job, phenomenal
appreciate you.
performance, one of the best ones
Appreciate
of
you.
your career, and
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
No, I appreciate you for having me, man. Thank you for getting me on the show. Yet again, anybody that wants to get the Solid Foundation merch, please go on the solidfoundationstore.com and copy one and become a brick, man. Let's go. We taking over 2025, dog.
There it is. New
Yeah.
Mansa 2025. Thank you so much, Joaquin.
All right. Appreciate it.